Hey, Joel.
Hey, Joe.
Hey, Joe.
Joel. Hello, Joe.
How do I look now? I got a haircut yesterday.
So, Joel, how you feeling?
I feel great.
Good. You looking good.
There's Neil DeFeo's in
Hey,
too.
Very
DeFeo
good.
coming on.
Okay.
Hey, Chris.
Hey, Chris.
How you doing, guys?
Hey, Chris.
Hey, Chris.
Morning.
How you doing?
We're good.
Neil DeFeo. Hey.
Hello, everybody.
DeFeo.
How are we?
Wild
It's my
man of
tw-
the trombone.
It's my brother.
Wait, I still have.
Looks like the Brady Bunch. All right, Neil.
Thank
All
you,
right.
thank you, thank you.
First trombone solo of the afternoon
Okay, Colonel.
from the left. Actually, no, on the waiter on the right.
In the front row.
Lower right hand corner.
Okay, cool.
With the eyeglasses. With the acid proof and grease resistant Monsanto eyeglasses. That's me.
Yeah. All right.
We-
Well, good. Because we didn't never know all the people in the picture. I mean, I could recognize a couple of them. I know Joan right in the middle and Joel.
Right.
Joe Tara. Looks like Joe
Yeah,
Tara.
Joe Terra is in there, and
Ronnie Beisel.
Mhm.
yeah,
Sitting next to on Joel's left is Ron Beisel.
Right.
Pretty
yeah,
sure.
right. Yeah, she's supposed to be on later today.
And I see Neil DeFeo in the back row. In the brass section.
But here it comes. Look at that. Three of y'all are in it.
Wow. George French,
But we don't recognize each other.
Ron Beisel.
Vinny Murata. Yeah, sure.
There's a guy back there looks like Ed Sullivan too.
He's in disguise.
Jennifer's there too, my sister.
Yeah, that was the first mustache Ed Sullivan show.
Chris, are you in that one?
No, I'm in the next one, the next mustache one, the next Ed Sullivan show. There's Joan there, though.
So, Joel, your sister's holding the symbol right behind you.
She's the one with the long hair.
Yeah.
Joel, I don't know if you remember this, but you taped in the inside of the symbol "Hi, Mom." So when she held them high, it
Well,
said
just
"Hi,
hold-
Mom."
listen to it.
Yes. You could have been remembering, Neil.
A serious note. The mustache changed my life, guys. I was a pretty unhappy college student, and I escaped from engineering school. They won't allow me to practice it, but I am allowed to have a diploma. I got through law school, and I told my mother that I was driving a fire truck to Summers Point, New Jersey. I think I probably gave her a cardiac at this time after 7 years of college. But Joel, I'm glad to have a chance to tell you face to face how grateful I am to have been a part of the mustache. It gave me a confidence, music and the mustache and the chance to be a part of this organization. Just beyond words. And I tell that I'm in a Dixieland band now, which is well, I'm a guest artist in a Guy Lombardo-esque big band locally, and I get up and I do 3 songs: Alabama Jubilee, Robert E. Lee, and what's the other one they like? They like See Your Mama Every Night, or You Can't See Mom at All. And I was talking to somebody the other night, and they said, "Well, what is your whatever?" And I said, "Well, I'm going to bet $1 million nobody in this room has ever been on the Ed Sullivan Show but me." And they said, "Well, we'll bet $100 you can't prove it." So this is This is a great chance to say thanks to everybody that put up with me. I was not much of a banjo player when I started, and I'm better, but and I'm still playing. But Joel and every
I would like to suggest for this meeting that I turn the first half hour to all of you. I haven't heard any of your stories. I've heard the most fascinating stories about your father's mustache from you people.
I tried and tried.
So I sent out a list to several people to ask them to make a contribution. I don't see a lot of them on the board here. If we can start, where's Tom? Tom, are you in charge?
Yeah.
What I'd like to do is ask people to volunteer to make a short presentation about how a mustache impacted their life. That would give me at my advanced stage a lot of pleasure. Plus, you then I'll take probably a quarter of an hour after to explain the history of your father's mustache, how it started, where it went, how far it went, and what happened to it. And
I don't know who it is.
so it will not be an hour and a half of me droning on, which I don't like that very much for obvious reasons. I will take a break at the end, and I'll go through a speech I've written about all the clubs when they opened, where their names were, and who was starring there at the time. So what I'd like to do is suggest we build on the one speech we just heard, who were
That was Tom. That was Tom. And then anybody who wants to speak next can just start talking.
yeah,
That was Tom O'Brien first.
that was Tom O'Brien. Boy,
Yeah.
Tom, I didn't recognize you.
I forgot to use my stage name of
TJ.
TJ.
TJ. I forgot. Sorry. Okay,
That's all right.
TJ, thank you for a nice start.
You're more than welcome, Joel.
I would be very pleased to hear the stories of how well you've done or how well you haven't done and the influence your father's mustache might have had on you. Maybe all of you would like to hear that. So, Tom, if you could if you could lead that conversation, it would be great.
Well, let's see, there's only a couple of new players, but in 100 words or less, Joel, and I kind of wrestled with this. I am the only person on the screen who's ever been on the cover of the Washington University Alumni Magazine, driving the mustache fire truck to Summers Point, New Jersey. My dad said, "What do you know about those cars?" And I said, "Well, about as much as I knew about the banjo when I got involved with this guy." I made it to Summers Point against overwhelming odds, and the mustache had just a huge impact on my life. I'm still in touch with Neil once in a while. It's just great to have been a part of it, Joel. We all of us owe a lot to you. I wish I had been a better banjo player, but Kim and Ron Bill and Ron Beisel, I don't know why they put up with me, but it
lost cause, TJ, lost cause.
yes, send them to Chicago, which is what happened. And I'm still in the Midwest, Joel, and I owe a great deal to you. And I'm just delighted to see your face and all these other people, about half of whom I think I've run across because you let me fly around the country and play in other bands. And I was telling somebody the other night at a place where I play, it was like the 20s. Joel would come in on Friday and say, "Well, you're going to New Orleans." I'd say, "What?" And it's like something my uncle would have done or somebody historical. So anyway, I'll shut up. I'm just delighted to see everybody and looking forward to hearing from all of you.
Great, Tom. Great.
Who's next?
Whoever wants to speak. Okay, well, my name's Tom Wolf, and I worked at the New Orleans Club. And I got to say, when I got to the New Orleans Club, I'd been an only child. I went to an all-boys Catholic high school. And the first night, I didn't know what to do when I was working. And it was time to get on the bar and dance. And I said, I can't do that, but I did it. And then I got down from the bar, and Billy Blank looked at me and said, man, nobody gets up there the first night. And I thought, oh, wow, okay, I'm okay. So the rest of my life has been influenced by your father's mustache. And I appreciate it. Thanks, Joel.
Hey, I want to jump in too. This is Kent McBride. Tom and I were on our way to, I think it was Guatemala in this right after Thanksgiving in 1972. And we actually met a girl, then we had a wreck in our van, and she knew David Krippner at your father's mustache and said, you guys need to get a job. And we got a job. And as they say, the rest is history. David Krippner, Roger Kinnaman, Barry Foulon, Mike Gentry. I mean, the list goes on and on. Maynard T. Chatters. The worst thing about your father's mustache is that it spoiled you for having a real job after the mustache burned down in 1975. The best thing is that the people I met and the fun I had, and when I occasionally spin a yarn about working on Bourbon Street in the 70s, there's a lot of people that are very, very jealous because it sounded like a lot of fun. And I said, it is indescribable the amount of fun. Not every moment was fun, but it was indescribable the amount of fun we had running around mustache cups, having mustache cups and stuff, you know,
You were
full of
acting
beer
crazy.
and throwing drunks out of the drunken Norwegian sailors out of the bar, et cetera, et cetera. Spring water rights in Bacchanalia, the parties we had, a totally unusual and unique place that was to work. And so thank you, Joel, for having whatever motivated you, however long it motivated you, to giving us a place to play and work and make friends. So
Absolutely.
deeply grateful. Thank you.
Amen, Kent.
So I'm Barry. I'm a banjo player, I think.
We've heard rumors.
So,
What do you do? What are you doing thinking?
so after 2 summers of waiting tables at the Mustache, I found myself in the show band, traveling all around for about 4 months. I came back and had a spot in the New Orleans Club playing side banjo. And I did that for a couple of months. And Roger comes up to me and said, look, Joel's coming down to spend a few days and he's going to audition you.
Oh,
I said, audition me. I did 4 months with the show band, and 2 months later, he's coming to audition you. I said, okay. So I was 19 years old, and man, I started practicing every day for 3 weeks. I had 3 weeks notice. Man, I learned all the right chords, all the songs, the words. I was up in college. I even got one of the vocal majors to work with me on breathing exercise so I could sing better. Right? I took this stuff seriously. The big night comes, Joel walks in the club. Roger says, say hello to Joel. And me, my 19-year-old self said, nice to meet you, Mr. Schiavone, sir. And all that. And he looked at me, he said, do you know the song Japanese Sandman? I said, yeah. He said, hum it to me. I went, just a Japanese Sandman. Da, da, da. He said, good, you got the job.
That was a great interview.
And that was a great interview. I ended up leading the New Orleans Club, being a band leader of the New York Club. And for the last 20 years of my career, I worked on Bourbon Street playing the banjo. Thank you.
yeah.
Thanks, Mike.
It's Mike Gentry. Brian, I know everybody here, but I started your father's mustache up in Denver as a tuba player, as some of the others have. And after a while, they progressed where they needed the side banjo player. So I went and bought a book and a banjo. And 2 weeks later, instead of working just 2 nights a week as a sub tuba player, I'm working 5 nights a week as a banjo player. I thought, this is pretty cool. I'm making money, having a good time. I knew nothing about the banjo. I'm serious. I mean, I practiced a lot, but musically, nah. anyway, it progressed, and the leader of the band was a guy named Bob Vanasek. And
Hey, Bob.
Bob Vanasek. And he wanted to go on vacation, so they were looking for a lead banjo player. Well, I'm not a lead banjo player, but I'm going along with it. And one night, Bob Vanasek calls in sick. I said, and Jerry Sacco comes to me and says, "Mike, you got to lead the band tonight." I go, "Oh shit!" So I got with Vern Beebe, Bill Clark. We worked out a set list, and got through the first set. A lot of vamps for introductions, but was great. During the middle of the second set, I look out at the audience, and here's Bob Vanasek sitting out there like this, and Jerry Sacco like this. I'm going, what the hell? Turned out that night I played lead banjo was an audition, and apparently I did well enough at the time that Bob could go on vacation, and I took over the leader of the band when he went to New York, and spent time in Brussels and on the road, New Orleans, meeting Barry and all the friends. And my career has progressed throughout my life as I've been a banjo player, and I want to thank Joel Schiavone for that. It's Joel, through your leadership and guidance, I made it okay. Thank you, Joel.
You're welcome, Mike.
Hey, Gim, why don't you tell us about your start? Because you were from the beginning, I think.
Yeah, I was the first guy hired by Joel. Joel and I met at a cocktail party on Beacon Hill in Boston back in 1960, 61, I think, somewhere right there. And we talked about the banjo. And then about some months later, he showed up at my house with a banjo and said, "I'm going to start a band, and I'm going to open the club in Boston." And he eventually did. And so I was there at the beginning in the Boston Club, and I think it was 62 the Boston Club opened. Does that sound right to you, Joe?
Yes.
Yeah. And anyway, from there we went to Cape Cod, and from there we went to New York, and from there we went to 2 clubs on the coast, and then we opened the New Orleans Club, and we played at all of those. In fact, Craig, who's on the meeting here as well, went with me. I guess we were the first couple of guys in the band, and we opened St. Louis, we opened New Orleans, we opened Philadelphia, we opened the Cape, and we opened the 2 clubs on Jersey Shore. I never got to the Europe to play at Brussels or at the Blackpool. I never made it to Denver either, or Chicago either, but I got around, met a lot of guys, had a great time, and I was eventually with the overall with the Mustache for 9 years, from 1960 to 69, when I moved to New Jersey. But it was a great life. We had a lot of fun, made a lot of music, met a lot of girls, drank a lot of beer, ate a lot of peanuts.
Not necessarily order.
When I was in school, I was working 3 days a week at the Mustache, and I was living on beer and peanuts basically. But it was a fun time. It was an interesting time. It was a fascinating venture to see 14 clubs open at once, and
Yeah.
we were selling more beer than anybody else in the United States. We got our pictures in Time magazine. We got our we went to the White House a couple of times. It was fabulous, very interesting. Thank you so much for all that good stuff, Joe. It was great.
That's
Time.
cool.
Thank you, Gim.
Sure.
Yeah, I'll tell you how I met Joe. I met Joe down on Bourbon Street when the Mustache just opened. I went down there to visit my friend Fred, and we went in the club. He said, "God, the people like to sing in here." Well, Fred and I were in choir together in high school, so we knew lots of songs. So we got down in front row and kept drinking pitchers of beer and got drunk and just sang everything. And we went home the next night. Fred, let's go back down to Bourbon Street again. I said, "Yeah, let's do that." So we're walking down, and out from the Mustache, this guy come up dressed in his white thing and his red and white vest. He said, "Hey, you're my best customers." I said, "Oh, okay." Said, "You guys want a job?" Fred said, "I'll take a job." He said, "What about you?" I said, "No, I got to go back to Missouri. I'm going to school up there." So I went back to Missouri. Then that following summer, Fred was on his way to Cape Cod. He comes by and wants to pick me up. He says, "Why don't you come up to the Mustache, Cape Cod? I can get you a job up there." I said, "Well, okay." The next day, Fred comes by and says, "My car's broke." I said, "What do you mean? It's broke down. I don't know how we're gonna get there." Well, I had a '56 Chevy. So I said, "Fred, I'll sell you my car." He said, "Okay." So I sold him my car. I said, "Fred, I have some money to go with you now." So when we took off and went to the Cape, before I got to the Cape, we stopped in the St. Louis Club. Chicago wasn't open yet, and Boston and New York. And I said, "Fred, where are you getting this beer?" He says, "Well, go there and just take a ticket, give it to the bartender. He'll give you a free beer." I said, "Oh, hell, this is great. I don't even have a job yet, and I'm drinking free beer." So I spent the summer at Cape. After that, we headed back down to New Orleans right after Betsy hit. Everybody kept telling us New Orleans is gone. Well, it wasn't gone, but it sure was a mess when we got there. And then I worked there for a while, and John Murata came through and did a sort of inspection on the club. He said, "Listen, I need for you to go out to Denver and help them out. They need the books straightened out and the club's a mess." I said, "Okay." So I go out to Denver, straighten that out. And I get a call from Joe. Says, "Listen, Roger, my manager who's going to open Chicago is very sick, and he can't get to work. So you're going to have to come over to Chicago and open the club." Hell, I hadn't been working that long in the business. I said, "Oh, okay." So I had a little MGB and my girlfriend. So we take off to Chicago. I get in Chicago. We get that open up. That's quite interesting. And I went down to the lake one afternoon. It was cold as hell. And I came back, just said, "Joe, I can't stay in Chicago." I said, "Okay, we'll go back down to New Orleans." I said, "Okay." I went back down to New Orleans. The next thing I know, Joe wants me to come to New York and be the GM of the nightclub chain. And there's George French giving me the screws. That's a car sold Fred. And we were working on it. So I worked in New York as the GM for, I can't remember how many years, 3 or 4 years with Joel. It was quite an experience working with Joe. We had meetings all the time. I was putting together a manager's meeting with Joel. And just before we got to go to, I said, "Joel, what else we need to do?" He says, "Well, I don't know. You're going to be in charge. I'm leaving town. I'm going on a survival kit thing out in the jungle somewhere where some people learn how to survive. So he walks, goes away and leaves me, just go ahead and do it." I said, "Okay." So I learned so much by go ahead and do it. But with the leadership of Joel all the time, I could go right to it and ask him questions. And then when I was in New Orleans, I'd go to New Orleans to Denver to St. Louis and back and forth. Then I left New York and I went up to Vancouver, British Columbia and worked. And it was beautiful. There were a lot of young, beautiful women, and the club was doing really good. And all of a sudden, this gentleman comes to the door and says he wants to talk to me. He thought I was the owner. He says, "Well, you need to pay your taxes, you know." I said, "Well, I'm not the owner." So we found out that these people were not paying their taxes up in Canada. So I had to notify Joe and Ron Sater, what are we gonna do? He says, "Well, go in there and get everything out of there that's ours, ship it down to New Orleans or New York, and you go back down to New Orleans and work with Fred." I said, "Okay." So I went back down to New Orleans, was working with Fred, and Fred went off and worked for Vince Vance. And it was such a great experience working with Joel and Ron on a very close basis, especially in New York. I could walk over to Joe's house. I lived up on 22 West 16th, so I could walk back and forth to work. And anything I wanted for the clubs, Joel and Ron were right behind me. "That's a great idea. Let's try that out." And it was just, I learned so much about running a business and people dealing and working with people and having a great time, making so many good friends over the years. And here we are 50 some years later, I guess 60, I don't know, still chatting and still good friends. And it's a once in a lifetime experience. And going behind a lot of that. And hell, I even went out to the scrap metal business with him one day and looked around. It was, it's amazing. The whole thing was just a great experience in my life, which I'll never forget. And I'm so happy that I got to experience. And Joel, thank you for all the goodness and leadership you gave to me along the way. And I sure had a
Yeah.
good time.
All right.
Thank you, Roger.
You're welcome.
Hey, so I'll go next if you don't mind. I had been working in a bank in Denver as a loan officer, and I ran into Ron Fuller one day on the street, and he told me about the Mustache nightclub. So I went over there one night, and next thing I knew, I was no longer working at the bank, but I was working at the Mustache for $1 an hour and tips as a waiter. Jerry Sacco was the first guy I ever saw playing washboard, so I copied his washboard and started playing washboard. And here I am 50 some years later. I'm a thimble-minded washboard player, and having met everybody on the screen today, except for Tom O'Brien. I don't think I ever met you, Tom, but everybody else on the screen, Neil DeFeo, Barry Foulon, Danny Rubio, Mike Gentry was at the Denver Club. Snake was at the Denver Club. We went on to do a lot of washboard concerts at festivals over the years, 28 years in Sacramento. And Joel actually put up with us doing washboard concerts at the Connecticut Festival for 10 years. And thank you for that, Joel. And a lot of other places. So we kind of collectively, a lot of us playing washboard, put washboards on the map for a while. Now it's kind of disappeared again, but it's nice to know all of you, and it's been an experience getting to meet all of you, Rubio and Neil DeFeo and every single one of you on here. And nice to meet you finally too, Tom O'Brien.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Mike.
And hi, Kent McBride. It's been a long time, brother.
Thank you, Mike.
So I'd like to go now, because I unfortunately have to leave shortly for a prior engagement. But the mustache had meant more to me than probably any other thing in my life. It's kind of funny. You remember things in the past that were good, that you had fun with and made a difference and you learned from. And I think about my college time when I played mustache 4 or 5 nights a week. And that's all I remember during college. I don't remember other people I went to school with. The mustache was everything. And I had so many fun experiences with so many of you. I want to thank each of you that I had a chance to work with and play with, whether it's Chris Fenimore and our summer together with 13 young single women, or TJ as the road manager and taking showers at Vassar College with all women. But here we were on the road again, or Annie Gim Burton who lives in Connecticut nearby and was one of the very first people I met. If it wasn't for the mustache, I wouldn't have been an appreciator of people the way I grew up to be. I learned how everyone comes from a different place. And the things it taught me, for example, it taught me how to drink. When I first came to the mustache, I didn't realize that alcohol was really good for you.
Hey.
And it showed me the power of women. I won't go any further in that, but it was a long power I learned. And it showed me so many things. So, Joel, I want to thank you. And you were always kind and generous and helpful and fun. And you could take a joke and you could give a joke. And I'm just so proud to have been part of the mustache experience. And I started in 1964 at the New York Club and left the club when I moved out of New York area in 1971. And then I played in most of the clubs around the country, including Brussels too. So just thanks everybody. It's a joy to be on the video with you. I wish I could spend time with each and every one of you and relive those, as they say in the newspapers, thrilling days of yesteryear. Thank you.
Thank you, Neil.
Thank you.
Thank you, Neil.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Neil. Appreciate that.
I want you guys to know that I'm really enjoying this. I don't know why, but
No reason.
Well,
Well, we're on every Thursday night, Joel. We're on.
yeah, I know that. I've been to one or two of them.
So far, the main theme seems to be every single person has mentioned beer and women.
Yeah.
Strictly coincidental.
This picture.
Thanks for sharing.
Not necessarily in that order, Danny.
It was always in that order.
I look around at some of these guys, especially the musicians, and a lot of the musicians, Barry, myself, Gim,
Craig, I'm sure, Neil, have continued in music throughout their entire lives and wouldn't have been in that position without Mr. Joel Schiavone pointing us in the right direction. Because we learned the Mustache was not only enjoyable to work, it was great to work, but it was also a learning experience about entertaining, talking to people, making people participate, and just generally entertaining. And again, thanks to all the musicians who have continued, and thanks to Joel.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. Thanks to Joel.
Yeah.
I see Joan Dragon. Is she here tonight?
Yeah, but she's muted.
She's having trouble getting on. I've just been on the phone with her. She's trying. I just sent her the code again, so we'll see if she pops on.
Yeah, I'm getting texts from Marty Fay. He's trying to get on too. I've resent it to him 2 times. So.
Okay.
Here's Jeff. Hey, Jeff.
Hi there. How are you going?
Great. How you doing?
Very well, thanks.
Who's that?
Jeff Grosser.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah, I worked with Eddie Davis with the show band on occasion.
Right.
Well, I'll just give a short one for the waiters, since I never did get to travel to the different clubs. A friend of mine, Tommy Barrios, told me he had started working at Your Father's Mustache, and it was just before Mardi Gras of 1971. I was just turned 19. I looked like I was 15, but I walked into the club and Bruce Wilson was there.
Bruce,
the assistant manager. And my job interview kind of went like, well, do you have a white shirt and black pants? I said, yes. He says, come back tonight. You know, because they needed people for Mardi Gras. And I started off. And like I said, it was one of the best decisions I made in my life. You know, I met some great friends. I've never been to one high school reunion, but you mentioned a mustache reunion or a chance to do something with you guys, and I'm there, you know.
there you go. Good.
You know, I learned more about dealing with people and being sure of myself when you can get out there and talk and convince drunken French sailors or giant Norwegians to behave themselves. You know? So I learned a lot about it helped me a lot my entire life, you know, gave me confidence, you know, developed my theatrical skills because you had to project so the bartender would hear you, you know. And they did let me on stage a couple times to do specialty numbers and play the washboard a little bit, you know. But I appreciate everything, Joel. It was kind of like my college scholarship. I worked as many nights as I could, got married while I was at the Mustache. And Bonnie will even tell you I was going to school all day. Well, there I am.
Wow.
Going to school all day and working at the Mustache as many nights as I could. Bonnie says that one night came to bed, slapped her on the back and says, get out there on the floor and sell some stickers. You know, or one night there was a giant poster above my bed. She said I was standing in the bed and trying to pull the poster down like it was a movie screen between band breaks, you know, so it kind of embedded.
Yeah, I started at the Mustache as a waiter and became mainly a bartender, and then of course along with Kent was assistant manager around the time the club burned down. Had a lot of other good jobs over the years, but the people I met and the friends I really had, the friends I remember all these years, you're right here on the screen. The memories I had right here on the screen from the Mustache. It was just the best job I've ever had, and I had a lot of good.
Hey, Joan.
Oh, I think I might be there.
You're
Hi,
there,
Joan.
Joan.
We can see you.
Hey, Joan.
Yes.
Hi, Joni.
I love those glasses.
I think I finally
Great.
got there,
Yeah,
You're there.
great to see you.
but I've lost you again.
No, we see you, Joan.
We see you.
We
There
hear
you
you.
go. You're right there.
There you go.
That's perfect.
That's you're having trouble because you're in Florida.
Geez, what a. I'm not a technical wizard. I can bake a brownie, but.
Well, let's do that then.
Hey, well, then send me
Jeepers.
some brownies, will you?
Well, you know, while you can hear me, because I don't know how long this is going to last, but you know, I came to the mustache a little differently than you guys did because I had 3 children in tow. And so we started at Cape Cod. Russell was cooking in the kitchen, and there was an expression that the guys used. God knows what it meant, but it was hum baby, we're bucking for a raise. My 3 kids used to stand in their jammies out in the hall, this sort of balcony around the entryway, and they would watch all the people come in and they would yell down, hum baby, hum baby. And then they would go in and peek
There's
Russell.
there he is.
Floor where we were up there. But yeah, the mustache changed my life. It taught Ron Sater taught me about bookkeeping, which I still use today. Of course, I've been director of this Suncoast Festival for about 16 years now, so I get to see a lot of people. We saw Neil last year. And that's been music's just been a huge part of my life, and the restaurant, the little cafe that I have, sort of an extension of all of that. And I just have to say, it's so good to see everybody on the screen. And I found that I do have captions. If I can get a little help with Zoom with some of these young whippersnappers here, then I could be a better participant next time. But well, those certainly were the days. And when I hear all of you speak, I think we've all come away from this in how much the mustache brought to our lives and how it's continued through our lives all these years. We just owe a lot to Joel, but I owe a lot to all of you too, because you're all part of it. Really, really fabulous days.
Thank you, Joan.
Nice, nice job.
Thank you. Yeah, I used so much experience from the mustache after it burnt down. I was in Florida. I opened up a food and beverage outlet in the country club there from scratch, you know, hiring the chefs, hiring the waiters, making the menus. But I learned all that background stuff by working at the mustache, and Joe always gave me this responsibility and how to do it. So it was, I've used that as experience I come from there from running other businesses, which was great. Whoops. That's right.
Hello, Roger.
We were doing a promo picture for an advertising magazine in New Orleans, but this was actually taken in the New York club. And we just put that sign behind us and a few other signs, and we came up with this picture. Accept no substitutes. That was the time of our lives, that's for darn sure.
Amen.
You know, I have so many great memories. I have about 4 photographs, books full of pictures that were taken over the years, working in the mustache, and of our friendship. It's been developed. You tell other stories and they think you're making something up. Now that would really happen. I was picturing David.
David and Roger.
Yeah.
Roger and
That
David.
New Orleans?
That's in New Orleans, yeah. Yeah. That's Barry Kaiser taking the picture. You can see his in the mirror, you can see him standing up on with a tripod there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was it. I just thought I was going to be there forever.
Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful time period.
Amen.
I'll just say one thing, Joel. This is Craig, and I want to thank you for being my best man at my wedding. Marcia and I celebrated our 60th anniversary this last fall, and
congratulations.
We're still together, and we're both in Florida right now, enjoying the warmer climate than New York offers at this time of year. And I sent a long email to you reminding you what the right dates were for various things. And then I forgot what dates the St. Louis Club and the Philly Club and the New Orleans Club and the ones that I went to play opening night on. So I would say thank you for all and for a long time friendship. And for those of you who don't get a chance to play with Joel, I still do. And it doesn't happen often, but I see him at least once a year in a band gig. So
are you down in Sarasota?
I am right now. I'm in Pompano Beach, but
okay.
But I live up in the Mid-Hudson Valley, And I would never have met Neil or Joel or Gim or a zillion of the people, the musicians particularly, that I have met over my many years, if it had not been for starting at the Mustache. So I'll just say
Absolutely.
thanks.
Good
That was
to
one
see you,
of
Craig.
my lucky things. I got to travel all the mustaches. And I got to meet so many different people. And I got to meet all the musicians and other managers across the United States and over in Blackpool, up in Vancouver. It was like on an adventure, it seemed. See, hard at work.
And we got paid for that.
I
Yeah,
got
really.
paid having a
Yeah,
good time.
not
It's-
much, but we got paid.
Yeah,
I
a
got
little
free
bit,
beer
yeah.
too. See, I
Someone had
got,
to do it, Roger. Someone had to do it, you know.
that's my manager's outfit, a new suit and a nice hat. Must have a tie there somewhere.
Without the beer
Here
chugging
goes in
contest,
contest.
without the
Looking for
beer chugging contest, Tom Wolf might not have met Emily.
That's
Oh,
true.
Lord.
Yeah.
Gim got his wife from the mustache.
Wow.
Married.
Oh,
Barry. Yeah.
the good old days.
Oh, gang, are you all set for my speech?
Yes.
Sure.
And anybody else that has something to say? I really enjoyed this, by the way. It's terrific. All those years, I never got praise. This is the first time. This is time you're all nice to me. Okay, well, let me give you my speech. It's short, with a lot of facts. If you want to take notes, it's okay. This is
You're being recorded for posterity, Joel.
good. It's been a long time since I've been recorded for posterity. Okay,
Keep your sense of humor. I love it.
I put the mustache in three categories. The first is the golden years. Second are the fallow years, and third is the dream. So some of you are part of all three of those, but I'll describe them to you briefly. First, the golden years. The first, the negotiation with the Red Garter and Jack Dupin, where I was called we were all called the Red Garter for the first year and a half. I was paying him an enormous amount of money. I thought it was an enormous amount of money. It's probably about $5 now. But I got a franchise from him, and I found out after a year I had 3 clubs and he had 1, and I was paying him 3 times what I should. So I canceled the deal I had with the Red Garter and went off on our own. Had a contest for a name. The one name I got on a consistent basis was Saggy Stockings. If we lost our Red Garters, we would certainly be Saggy Stockings. But anyway, somebody from the Boston area sent along Your Father's Mustache. And I glommed on that. I thought that was a great name. And we became Your Father's Mustache in 1962, early. Boston opened in the fall of 62. Cape Cod opened in the summer of 63. New York opened in 1964. We went to the White House in 1965. We started in the Ed Sullivan Show just about the same time, 1965. We opened the New Orleans Club, I think it was in the fall of 1965. Harry Lip Productions, John Murata and his outside tab started playing in 1966. And the Jackie Gleason Hotel in Palm Beach, Florida, started about 1965, 1966. Those are what I call the dream years, meaning we were getting phone calls from people who wanted to hear a banjo. We were playing all over the world, phone calls from people who I had never heard of before, and we were playing for people I never heard of before. And you were too, and thanks to all of you for being so gracious, seeing people who you never saw before and per- performing beautifully. So we went through these golden years. I just got a phone call. We came down, opened a club, and it grew overnight. Place was packed right from the first night. And I'll explain why. That's the last part of this. So that was the golden years when everything went well. I had a lot of money in the bank then. I was playing the banjo all the time, and I did just. I met my wife there too, which we were later divorced, which is not strange. So that was the golden years, the fallow years. These are the years when I began to chase the Red Garter, open clubs in the same town where they opened. And the thought being that all I have to do is open the door and people come flocking in, just as they did in New York, New Orleans, etc., Boston. But they didn't. We opened St. Louis, that kind of struggled along for about a year. We opened Philadelphia, that lasted about 6 months, 7 months. Chicago opened about 3 months, 4 months. Oh, I opened the Denver club. I think most people enjoyed the Denver club. I enjoyed it, but it was only around for a short time, for a few years. And then I opened the Summers Point Club, which had a fantastic summer. Opened the Point Pleasant Club, which had a one fantastic summer. And that was the end of what I call the fallow years. Opened 6, 7 clubs, and they all failed. And the same, what happened is all of you were playing in those clubs. I was leading those clubs. It's the same name, same songs, and they failed. So I recognized that this is not going to be an easy road ahead of us. So I stopped doing that. I started doing the easy things like Blackpool, Vancouver, Brussels. Oh boy. From there, the third phase, what I called the dream phase, where I opened clubs just just to say that I opened a club in Europe, for example. I opened 3 clubs in Europe, Blackpool, which did very well for 2 years, particularly when the Scotch people came down from Edinburgh and they drank like crazy. Then we opened Summers Point, opened Point Pleasant, and as I said before, they all failed. The fact they would use the same musicians, played the same songs, sold the same beer. It didn't work. I'll explain why. I hope you understand. So that was the end of your father's mustache with your European excursions. You played that in Brussels for a while, as I recall. All right. Why did this happen? First,
That's Blackpool, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, Blackpool, yeah.
And that was Butch England, I think.
yes, it was Butch England.
That's
Anyway.
Blackpool, yeah.
Anyway, the reason for this is that people won't all of a sudden the younger generation, which had been weaned on rock and roll, went to left our crazy songs and went off on their own. And when we haven't heard from them since. I don't know where they went. They didn't come to our clubs, and gradually, even the clubs that had been successful began to fade, and finally we ran out of customers. So we closed New York, Cape Cod burned down. New Orleans burned down. I don't know what that means. What else burned down? Anything else burned down?
I hope not.
We lost two of our best clubs to fire. The rest of the clubs just gradually ran out of steam. I walked in there and there was no spirit at all. The people who were there were not really enjoying it. I don't know why they were there. And I just decided it's time to close all the clubs. And I did. And so the dream of your father's mustache faded away gradually. Finally, I ended up back in Wallingford with my band, with my banjo. I finally found a place to play with a band called what's the name of it?
Galvanized Jazz Band.
Galvanized Jazz Band.
Galvanized Jazz. Thank you. It's been around for 50 years, and I had started playing before your father's mustache, and still plays our kind of songs. So I've been playing with the Galvanized Jazz Band for the last 8 years, 9 years, and they're still playing. So that's the story of the clubs. Highs, of course, are the White House and the Ed Sullivan Show. The Mardi Gras, I think I put down all the high points. And the rest of the things were just the same thing you guys all did. Said hello to everybody and served a lot of beer. As somebody mentioned, we were the largest beer source in the United States for about a year and a half. And then the head of marketing for Flitz was thrown in jail. I don't know if it had anything to do with us, but and Schlitz had to close. Schlitz is your main. I remember it was our main beer, and it closed. Used to be the largest beer in the United States. Maybe they're closing or are closing, or coincidental. So that's the way I categorize the golden years, the foul years, and the dream years. And I think you might want to categorize in a similar way. So here we are with just dreams of the past. Dreams of times when things actually work, where people actually walk in the door with their door fee, with no not a murmur, had a good time, enjoyed themselves, sang the old songs, and behaved well. And then they all went home about the same time. And we were left with the clubs, but not much else. So I too have the dreams. Every so often I think I'm back at my father's mustache. I'll wake up in the middle of the night and I can still hear Mike Gentry playing Bye Blackbird. Just want to thank all of you clubs to do so well. Number one, it was the end of the era where people sang. Right. Sorry, people haven't sung since. People just don't sing nowadays like they do. They sang the old songs and they all knew the old songs, which was rare. You don't have that now. People now know the songs from like 2019, maybe 2020, but that's about it. Certain segments of people learn certain segments of songs, and we lost all our songs. They're all gone now, except for older people. So I guess that's us. We're the only people who still know words for me and Lewis. So That's the whole story. The other reason they closed is that it was patterned after the German concept of the uh, beer hall, and I always thought we needed a beer hall in the United States, and we had one for 3 or 4 years, but then it died. I'm sorry it did because I think it would still work, but I'm afraid it will never come back. So my thanks to all of you who made it work. I was not there most of the time. You were there most of the time. I was there. I mailed out the paychecks. I'm glad I paid for tuition, pay for school, graduate school, weddings, everything else. It was a real treat to me to be able to cooperate with that. That was a great experience for me too. So thanks to all of you for the Ed Sullivan Show, for the White House, for the Ed Sullivan warm up, for Harriet Productions, for Jackie Gleason's Hotel in Palm Beach, Florida, all the high points, and of course, New York, Boston, New Orleans, which were great. What else was great?
Carnegie Hall.
I can say Denver was great for about 3 years. Then thanks to all of you for being part of that, more than part of that, because I was only there for a few days a year. I pulled in the club, pulled out a bag, and I put it in a big pile of cash. And I don't know what happened to the pile of cash, dear. My new wife, I call her my wife, because we have a very close relationship. You haven't met these people. Yeah. Can you get her on the Zoom?
I'll just poke my head in. Hi,
come in.
Emily.
Hey,
I've heard
Emily.
stories of you all for years, and I've known Joel for 50 years, but we've been together for the last 10. And I would say 50% of that was discussion about the mustache. Till I know you all now.
Well, after this experience, you met a small percentage of the mustache crew.
Call us the survivors, will you?
really?
In the year 2000, the year 2001, or maybe 2002, we had 2,500 employees were sent out the W-2 forms. That was the high point of your father's mustache. And then so all you left went back to your wives, went back to school, and went back to playing for someone else. And I went back to Wallingford. So that's the whole complete story. The dates are a little shaky. I'm not exactly sure what the dates are, but you can fill in the blanks. So thanks to you for giving me 5 of the best years of my life, just like you. That's the end of the story.
Thank you, Joel.
Joe?
Hey, Joel, thank you for bringing all of us crazy people together for so many years and creating such a great, wonderful friendship and some wonderful memories. Thank you, Joel, Schiavone, and the rest of you, all of you, forever. Bye. Take care, Mike.
I think I probably should put in a good word for Tom. Where's Tom?
Tom's here.
I'm still here. Good. Tom and his crew in New Orleans has put on a Thursday reunion of sorts where people came who I haven't seen in 50 years, and they talk about your father's mustache. It's a
Yeah,
great.
don't forget Billy and Barry.
Billy and Barry.
Billy and Barry. Barry is our historian. Billy is our picture man.
Yes.
We collect everything.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was going to mention this since Tom will send out on the next invitation, I put a link. Everything that I have on video and in still pictures, I have on my Google Drive, and anybody that wants to can use that link and get onto my Google Drive and download pictures, video clips. I have both reunions edited, and the lots of photos and other things too. So
Great, that's good.
And
Yeah,
we're here every
the video clips are very good.
we're here every Thursday at 4 o'clock Central Time. And it's good
Well,
to
I'll see you in 2 weeks. I have captions, so
Yeah,
it's
we got
much
captions
better
for
for
Joan.
me. And thank you, Tom and Billy and everybody else who's been doing this for so long. And, you know, obviously, thank you, Joel. We love you. What a difference you've made to our lives. I'm
Yeah.
gonna go back to work, but
Good to see you,
hey,
Joan.
Chris, I see you.
Thank
Hi,
you,
Joan.
Bye, Joan. Nice seeing you.
Okay, bye,
Hey.
everybody.
Joan, wait a
Hi,
minute.
Joan.
Yeah, Jamie.
Okay,
Just one minute.
I have short words. Most
bye, Emily.
Hold on, Joan.
the majority of people in the United
Okay.
in the world have never had an experience like you had at your father's mustache. It was fun. It was enjoyable. You went to work. You're doing something you wanted to do. Great friends and lots of beer. So thank you all. Look back into those 5 years you had. They should have been 5 of the best years of your life, and apparently they were. So thank you all.